Would you just let her know that we've got the thing we need to change that
We found the form to change the price.
for Hennessy's?
Naomi?
Oh yeah, Senator.
No, I got it.
She's got it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we are going to talk about a couple things within the MLS, and then we're going to go through, and actually I'm kind of glad the guys that are online because you're going to put your thinking caps on here, and we're going to go through the purchase agreement, but I'm going to give you a scenario, and then I'm going to let you guys rotate back and forth and help fill out a page at a time. So now I got to find my form. Okay, there. So let me do, well, I'll do this in a little bit. I'll add that onto your thing there. So a couple things on, and some of you may or may not be aware of these things, but within our MLS, there's some really cool resources. One that I came across is particularly cool. And if you go to resources, and again, your icons may look different up here than I've got because I changed mine to a different scenario. And I needed to change them to winter. I gotta do that. So it's winter ones. But under resources, if you go down here to community reports, click on community reports, and it pops up this kind of unassuming little page here. So you can either like just put a single address in, or you can compare a couple of addresses. So maybe you're comparing a Brentwood, your clients are looking at a home in Oakley, and they're looking at one in Brentwood, they're looking at one in Antioch. You can kind of do a comparative thing. I'm just going to show up one right here because the comparative is the same information. It's just showing both different addresses. So I'm just going to put in my street, 55 Essex. I've already done that previously. So you just put the address into the property you want, click go. And then it does its thinking, and it takes a few minutes to do it because it's actually loading a lot of data and graphs and that in. So you'll notice down here, and these will drop down as more information pops in here. Down here are tabs where you can change and look at different things here. So I want to get this to load so we can get a look at this. But this gives all sorts of information on the area surrounding the address that you put in. So again, that was under, while that's loading, it's under the MLS resources and community reports. And
are
so
we
it's starting to pop some.
looking at your screen right now, or you?
Oh, sorry. You guys got to let me know. I forgot to share screen. Sorry. That's an important thing. Okay. Sorry. Is that better now? Can you guys see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So over here, this is the main website, MLS website, resources, down to reports. You click on community reports, and then on the top left is just going to think that just where you put an address in and click go. And so it's still loading some graphs and that in, but up here we can see, so I put in my address, so I'm in Oakley. So the median sales price for the zip code, so all of Oakley, or the 94561 zip code, is 460. There, I'm going to put a load of them. Is 460,000 for the median. The median sales price for the city as a whole, which I think it's taken some stuff in county, probably is 464. Median sales price for the county is 591. The national median sales price is 231,000. So next time you wish you were making more on your commission check, just think you could be living someplace where the median sales price is $231,000. So when you close your one deal and get your $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 check, people in these areas are having to sell 4 or 5 homes just to make the same income you're making it. Now, it's also more affordable to live in those areas too, but hey, don't let facts get in the way of a good story. So this will give you again, down the bottom here, there's tabs here. So we're looking at housing right now. We'll hit these other tabs in a few seconds, but it gives you graphs. for the zip code, it'll tell you the trends. It'll show you that for the city, for the county, and for national. And you see national price trends. There was a dip in 2012, as everybody did, and then they've had a slow rise up to there. Look at the city will go the red line, had that same dip. They're fairly close to the national numbers. And then look what we've done here in California, in Oakley, the numbers riding up to there. So this is a good graph for you to help people to see within what our area is doing, what nationally what's going on in that. Carla.
Well, I just was curious what you clicked to get to that, not that part, but to get to the first part to open this. I'm sorry, I was writing.
Okay, so if you go to MLS, click on resources, and I'll do it again.
Oh, it's up there, it says resources.
Yeah, it says resources on the MLS there, on the top bar there, and then
Thank you, that's all I need.
and then you're doing community reports, and then this is what it looks like because I didn't have the screen up. So you just put the address in there and click go, and then that's where you end up where you're on here. Home statistics near 94561. So this is so median age of the home in the Oakley area is 37 years old. Homes owned, 68% of them people own their homes in the city. 58% is national average. So people want to say, well, what percentage of the homes are owner occupied? It's in Oakley, it's 68% or 69% for the city. County, it's 63%. 24% are rented and 8% are vacant, or 69, 24, and 7. So it tells you what's going on with the city there. Average rental cost, 10-year chart. So this is what the average rents are for the last 10 years. So people see the rental rates are going up, have gone up. Percentage of homes over a 30-year. So you can see this is an interesting one. So 1990, about 35% were rented in Oakley, or no, under 20% were rented, and we're now up to about 25%. Nationally, it was at 35, and it's coming down. So we're catch up to national percentage of homes rented is dropping. Percentage of homes owned 30-year, and you see home ownership is dropping down nationally and all that. So that's an interesting trend to see home ownership going down. I think it's just because it's the cost, the expense of that. But then it gives a nice pie chart down here: owned, rented, and vacant. So that's the housing page. Now, if we flip over to people page, again, it shakes over. So here's population density, percent male, percent female, median age. Oakley is a 50-50 split. Median age of Oakley is 34.8. People per household is 3.3. Median household income is 69. And I pulled up a Brentwood comparison, and Brentwood median household income is, I think it was 83 or 84. So the household income is definitely higher for Brentwood than Oakley. Average income per capita, and that's per person, I think it was because there's 3.3 people per household. So that gives you demographics on the population, density, excuse me, household income. It gives you a 30-year chart by the city, zip code, city, county, and national. So as you can see, the current, the county is a little bit higher than the city. Oops, just popping the graph in there. Population 30-year count. So we're seeing the population growing. So you can see what's going on in Oakley in the last 30 years. We went from about 19,000 up to present of about 43,000. Population age versus total population. And this tells you how many are under 19. And again, majority are under 19. 25 to 34 is the next highest, and then over 65 is there. And I think Brentwood, their 65 population is considerably higher because of all the retirement communities there. Household income, median age 30-year chart. So just again, household breakdown chart, how many households, family and non-family, percentage male and female. Education, how many have a 2-year degree? 10%, 4-year degree, 13%. And it's not much different for Brentwood either. So, I mean, look at nationally, we think that everybody's, all these people going to college, 8% of people have a 2-year degree and 19% of nationally have a college degree, a four-year degree. So it's kind of interesting. It's you think that it's, half of the population has it, but it's really a low number for the whole total population. Then down here, schools tab this will tell you what percent are have a 2-year degree and a 4-year degree. Again, here's the high schools that are for near Oakley. Tells you how many students there. And I think PT is parent-teacher ratio. So you've got 13, or pupil to teacher ratio, you've got 13 students per teacher. At Freedom, you've got 28 per teacher at Heritage, and you've got 26 per student at Liberty, which is interesting.
What we talked about earlier about the colleges, maybe that's why their tuition is still so high.
Well, that's part of it, but they're in the middle schools, same thing. How many students are at the middle school? Pupil to teacher ratios. Elementary schools, and again, this doesn't give the ratings on the schools, but it does tell you some of the information on the schools. Ungraded schools, these are and then private schools. Cornerstone Christian, my daughter-in-law teaches there, and they've got the highest number of students at their college of the local Christian ones, or local private schools. So that's information on schools, and then environment. And then it's going to say, because Dave and Maggie live there, it's a beautiful place to live. It doesn't say that. January average temperature, July average temperature, annual precipitation. So it tells you the temperatures. So don't send this tab to people when you're showing it to them, because we're average 90 degrees in July. And then health cost index, and the health cost index, see if it pop up here. It's still loading. There we go. The cost of healthcare index is calculated using the standard daily rate for a hospital room and the cost of a doctor office visit and a dental checkup. Patterned out the cost of living index, the national average is 100. So it's a little more expensive. Our national health cost index is 177 versus 100. So a little higher health costs in California, as we all know. And then quality of life. And cost of living index, again, same thing. Its cost of living is higher than the national average here. How many people commute by bus, by carpool, by auto? Their average commute time is 43 minutes. Nationally, it's 24 minutes. Working at home, what percent? And that number has actually changed now. It's going to be different because of the COVID thing. But you can see, people can see the commute times and the healthcare cost index. And the last tab is a map. And it'll pop up the Oakley area map. So you've got all of this and you go, okay, that's really cool. And so what you can do a couple of things. You can go compare to another location, so you can put another one in. Or you can start a whole new one. And then if you want to, you can print this, and the way to print it to your computer, so you can save it. You can do just the housing report. So it's just gonna be that housing tab, that first tab, or you can do all of them. And then hit a print preview. And off the print preview, I think you should be able to save it to your computer if you wanted to. And then that way you could email it to them. And so here's the whole report. So you can put a whole report together and let's see, to print this report, click on, and then right here, I can do this and I can save it as a document onto my computer. So that's kind of a cool little tab I thought was in there on neighborhood reports, and you get some information on that. So you take somebody out for the first time, they're looking at an area, what can you tell them about the area? Pull this up, send it over to them, and so they can look at all the things on the community and that, especially if they're coming from out of the area. This gives them some things there, and pretty simple to put together in a few moments. The other area I want to talk about is IO, disclosure IO, which is down here. And this is where you've seen this, where people put in for disclosures, cut and paste this, put it into the search bar, and it pulls up all the disclosures. People have to register for those. My understanding is your clients in that who register, put their information in there. It doesn't go to the agent who put this in, is my understanding. So if you've got a listing, you want to put a property package together, you click here and who you represent, you go through all these pages here. But let me go back to mine. Thought I had kind of a sample one in here. I have to walk through the whole thing, crud. But basically you can put it in here, you go through all the steps, you add everything in. Let me just put the address, 55 Essex Court, Oakley, populate that. Single family, 700,000, 5-bedroom. How many bathrooms is it? 3, 2,000, 2853, 10,000 roughly. Description. Agent Dave Hansen, because I put my information there previously. Pops all that in there. If you have somebody co-listing with you, put that in there. Associates. I don't need to put all that stuff in there. Property photos, I can put those in and then create package. And then what it will do is, so you can do the free one, invite seller to disclose. So clicking on there. So they create an account and that, but it's pretty cool because then you can do, so let's see, so I don't need to do that other stuff. That's kind of additional stuff. But now what I can do is add documents. So now they add documents, share the listing. So once you add all your documents in here, your reports, your NHDs, your TDSs, you can put all those in here. Then you do the share package. It gives you a website link. You put that in the confidential comments, and then people click on that, or they put that into the bar, and then they have to put their name and email address. Then it sends them the information there. Buyers agents can view the reports. The buyers, potential buyers, your clients can view the reports on that. There's been several of these I've done that. Sent the link over to my clients. They pull it up, they pull the information down, and some they've decided to look at because they like what was in the reports, and others they didn't want to look at it because of things that were in the reports. So a good way of sharing disclosures really well. That's a really kind of a cool thing. Any questions on these two tools here while we We got that. No? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. You guys still there?
You know, I feel like we're alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Who's still online? Say, tell me if you're still there, because I'm not.
I'm still here.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Okay. Linda? I think she's still there. Okay, so here's what I want to switch to now. Now I want to switch to not that. I want to switch to contracts, in which I just closed out my thing. So let me open back up again. So let me do this. Let me stop share for a second. Let me get this set up first. Now I'm going to stop share. And then I'm going to put the chat box in. And I am going to, let me do that. My computer, I want train purchase. Open. Okay, so so did that pop up? You guys access that and open that up? That document I just sent to you? Anybody?
I didn't have anything in the chat box, right?
Should be in the chat box. Should say train purchase details.
Yeah, I don't have anything on my chat box. I don't know if it's because I'm on my phone.
Yeah, it could be. Linda, can you pull it up there? Linda, is it showing up in yours? She's still muted. Okay, so here's you guys can here's the train purchase details. Address is 65 Essex Court. Sellers are Dave and Sue Hansen. Buyers are John and Mary Smith. Purchase price $675, and then escrows with ORTC with Ferris Sanchez. So let me share my screen again, and you guys see the document stuff here. My contract forms. You see this page?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to open up training. So I've got here. So here's the first thing that I do when I'm putting a contract together. I'm going to pull up documents, and I'm going to pull up cover sheet. Okay. So who are the buyers? David Hansen. And I can put the email address in. I usually put the email address in, so when I go to DocuSign, they're already there. And Susan Hansen. And those were the sellers, sorry. So this is a purchase agreement. So my buyers are John Smith and Mary Smith. I've looked on to see that David Hansen and Susan Hansen are the sellers. Now I would normally put email addresses in if I have them, because then for DocuSign, it makes it easier to do that. Address is 55 Essex Court, Oakley, Contra Costa, California, 94561. And my purchase price was $675. Not sure why it does that. Residential. Escrow company, I'm going with Old Republic Title. I'm going with Ferris Sanchez. And I would normally put the phone number in, which is 925-634-1010 for them. So I normally put that stuff in, but I'll do that. In your template, this is already preloaded. It may have my email address, so make sure you take that out. But it should have Wyckoff Realtors stuff preloaded. What's the broker number? Anybody know it off the top of your head? Anybody? 01823871. That's the broker number. And then my number is 0177243.
Say broker's number again, slower.
01823871. And then I would have the seller broker stuff in there. I'm not going to do that right for this moment here, but you should put that in there. So once I put everything in there, I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to go back to my documents. And now we're going to open up the purchase agreement. And this is where you guys, so let me start with Najee. Okay. You online? You there, Najee?
Yeah,
Okay. You see the form?
I do.
Okay. It's not just the ones that are there's not the new ones yet. So tell me what is this form and what's it about?
So this form is the disclosure for the agency relationship, and it lets the
Okay.
client know what am I trying to say? It lets your client know what your responsibilities are as their agent,
Okay.
and what you're expected to do, and it also defines who's the seller's agent and who's the buyer's agent.
Okay. Doesn't define who's the buyer and the seller's agent. It defines what the responsibilities of the buyers and sellers agents are.
Okay.
Does this make me your agent if I sign this?
Yes. No?
What want to guess again?
Uh, I think it does, but now I think I'm wrong.
Yeah. So this is why we're doing this. This does not make me, if I sign this, if you are my agent or you're going to be my agent, this does not make me your agent. This is a disclosure that simply lets me know, lets everybody know that agency, that keyword right there, agency exists in the state of California. So it just lets people know that agency exists and the responsibilities of a seller's agent, a buyer's agent, and then a dual agent. And then what the seller's and buyer's responsibilities are. This does not make you anybody's agent. An agency disclosure form or an agency agreement would make them your agent or you their agent, or them signing a purchase or a listing agreement makes you their agent. But this is purely an informative one, letting everybody know what that agency exists in the state of California. Okay, so down here, so John Smith and Mary Smith, they're your buyers, you're the agent. Your name now, Najee, is Dave Hansen. So what do we've got their names in there. What do we do on this? They're the buyers. Anything else we need to do on this form, or is it good to go?
Looking at it, so we have the buyers, and I mean, it should be check marked, and then it should be good to go.
Yep, exactly right. So this gets missed a lot of checking who are signing here. So make sure you've got the buyers that you're working with, that you're checking those boxes there. Okay. And then page 2, this is simply where it's codified in the civil law, in the law. Oscar, what does this form here do? Fair Housing Discrimination Advisory.
That form. It is basically they're gonna show all show all housing and not leave any out as far as for clients or anything like that. To not
Okay,
discriminate for
This is-
the protected classes.
correct. We can't discriminate in any way, shape, manner, or form. And here's race, color, ancestry, national origin, or religion, gender expression, gender. So here's all the stuff that race, sex, marital status, citizenship. We can't discriminate on any of those things here. Okay. Um, and I have, it happens a lot with when I'm representing people for rentals, when I'm leasing a house out, I get owners just once they do it, and then I don't allow it to ever happen again. They ask, so what's their race? It's like, doesn't matter. It does not matter what the race is. You can't make your judgment and decision based on that. So this is actually 2 pages. It just talks about how we have to act in fair housing. And here's all the websites if people want to do it. And then, so all that needs to be done, their names are already in there. They need to sign this document. Okay. House representation of more than one buyer or seller. Naomi, what's this one do? You there, Naomi? Naomi? Okay. Linda, you there? I'm losing people here. Okay, so this one is possible. This just basically says that I can be representing more than one buyer or one seller at a time, because we can't do one person, and I may be representing the same people in the same property. A couple years back, I was showing 2 sets of clients, the same properties, and they were very good friends. Matter of fact, they were in a Bible study together. But they knew, but half the time that the one knew about it, they told the other one about it. And so they were very aware of, that I was working with both. But you just let people know that, hey, I may be working with more than one. If I'm not working with anybody else, say, hey, I'm not right now anybody in this price range and that. Wire fraud and electronic funds advisory. This is basically that they are to follow the instructions from escrow. The wiring instructions will not change last minute. So if they get an email saying, hey, wiring instructions have changed, wire money funds here, this is especially for your buyers, they are to always double check and confirm that the information that they have is from escrow, and no one's ever going to put them under pressure that they got to respond to something different than what they've already received prior from escrow and from that. So they're always to double and triple check those things to make sure that they're sending the funds where they're supposed to go. Now we got the purchase contract. So Oscar, walk me through what things do I need to do on this form. Can you see it okay?
Yeah, trying to. I zoomed in a little bit on the phone.
So some of the information is filled in. So tell me what I need to check or do from here.
This is new to me. Well, I say the date prepared would have to be done.
Okay, so if I'm preparing it today, I just click there. Okay, I got that in there. And then there's the buyers. There's the purchase price. Close of escrow shall occur on either a date or days after acceptance. So let's go with, you want to do a 30-day escrow?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to click this box here. I'm going to put 30 days in. Okay. This box is automatically already checked. Normally there would be, let's see, Tom Jones. Oops, did that backwards. Let's go with Better Homes. Tom Jones, we'll just add as the buyer's agent. And they're the seller's agent. Okay, so we've got 2 different agencies in here, and then their numbers would be in there. I would you'd need to put those in. So what else needs to be done in this section here, you think?
Distinguishing if they're the seller or both the buyer and seller. They're a dual agent or
So in this case, it would not be dual, so I'm going to click there, and then in that one, click the buyers. Okay, that gets missed a lot. Make sure you put in if there's two different agencies there. If you represent both sides, you click there, and the information should be the same in both those lines there.
okay.
Initial deposit. Okay, right now with our with the competitiveness, is it what? So we're doing a $675,000 offer. What would you recommend your clients to do as an earnest money deposit?
I don't know.
Okay,
Do
I would go up. I would go at least 10,000 if they can. That means that they got to have 10,000 in their account that they can afford to have out of their account while they're in escrow. But you want to show, in this case, with that price home, that you are a serious buyer and that you're putting up a good thing. So loans, there's loan would be conventional financing or FHA, VA, or seller financing. If nothing is checked, you're telling the seller that this is kind of conventional financing. Okay. So if nothing is checked, it's conventional. If it's something other than that, if you click FHA, then it's going to add in the amendatory clause here. Or if it's, sorry, I did VA. So first one's FHA, then VA or seller financing. I have never done a seller financing. We've had a couple come through our office, but it's usually going to be conventional FHA or VA or cash. And then what's the amount of the loan? So we'll say we're 675. We'll say the loan's going to be 575,000, which means that it's going to auto calculate down here that at close, another $90,000 in cash needs to be brought in to make the $675,000. Okay. On this one, the key things, names of who the buyers are, cost. This usually gets missed is how many days for the escrow, and then who represents who, and then how much the deposit is, how much the loan is, and then what the total purchase price is. Okay.
okay.
Everybody see that? Page 2. So if nothing is checked, the first part, verification of down payment and closing costs, it's 3 days. If you want to change that, you can put a number in there and change that. Say you want it in 1 day, so we'll put 1 day in. Or if the verification of down payment is attached with your offer, put verification attached, then make sure you attach it. Appraisal, this agreement is automatically contingent upon an appraisal. If it's not, you'd click there. I do not recommend, if there's a loan on it, I do not recommend not having an appraisal contingency. But we've had a lot of those come through where people remove that because whatever the cost is, they'll bring in extra money to do that. They've got the resources to do that. And in this case, the default for the inspection or the appraisal contingency is 17 days. You can shorten that if you want to. Loan application within 3 days or letter attached that they've got their, their pre-approval. You can do that. Loan contingency is 21 days, or you can shorten that up if you want to. If you, again, don't change the loan contingency and appraisal contingency timeframes without consulting and talking to their lender first. If you say, yeah, let's put 15 days to remove the loan, and the lender says, man, I need, with all the refinance and everything going on, we need the full 21 days. Don't adjust that if you can. You can also do no loan contingency. If it's a cash offer, that would be the case. You can remove the loan contingency, but boy, you got to be rock solid that they're good to go and can do it. I do not recommend removing that. I try to keep my loan contingencies in place for as long as possible. So I'm not going to check any of those. If they have to sell a property, sale of buyer's property, they've got to sell one and they cannot buy this new property without selling that. You need to check this box here. And then it's going to pop up a COP form, which is contingency on purchase. And then it's going to go through it's going to talk, you got to put in there, it's on the market, it's not in the market, how much it's on the market for, how much it's going to be on. And that needs to be submitted, because if you get an offer as the listing agent that's got a COP, first thing I do before I even talk to my clients is I look on and see if it's on the market. I look up the property. I look up how much I think the property is worth, how much it'll sell for, how quick it'll sell for. So I've got that information that I can give to my clients in helping them make their decision of whether they should accept the offer with a COP on it. You can also have different things in here. So if it's in a well or a septic or that, you would check this box here. If you're putting advisories in there, this one is automatically checked, the inspection advisory. If it's a trust, you click trust advisory and they gives you the trust advisory form. So these are different things that you can check of things that you'd send over with the offer. If any of these are checked, that means that there should be something going over with the offer on those. So, and then other terms. So sometimes people want, they want, 3% or 4% or 5% towards closing costs. You can put that here, but the better place to put that is financing terms is seller to credit buyer 3% toward closing cost credits. And that just means that they're getting help with at the close of escrow to pay for loan costs and those sort of things. That makes your offer, especially in this market right now with low inventory, makes your offer less desirable. So I would not recommend doing that if you can avoid that. Allocation of costs, and we always get a lot of stuff missed in here. Who's paying for the natural hazard disclosure? So whose cost is this normally? Who's usually responsible for the natural hazard disclosure?
Is that the buyer?
No, it's the seller. So it's usually a seller cost. 9 times out of 10, sellers know it's their cost and they've got to disclose that. So usually I would click it as a seller. If you want to sweeten it, make it better, you can do that, or you can do 50-50, or you can do it as a buyer cost. The report's about $110 or so, 199 to 110 bucks. Putting you who you want for, I like NHD. I do prop ID, sorry. So I prefer, if you want environmental included in that. And then what I do for my buyers is I do the following report. I do any deemed necessary. And so what I'm saying is that, hey, buyer will, I'll pay for any inspections reports that need to be done. For the buyer will pay for those. And if you do it this way, then it doesn't create as much problem with the lender for wanting to see termite reports and report other reports and that. So if I'm not defining a report specifically, then that helps that. Government requires retrofit seller smoke alarm and carbon monoxide. That's a seller responsibility. So I always check that. So for Najee, For carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, tell me what the law is or what's required for those.
You need to have a carbon monoxide detector on each level of the home, and every room needs to have a smoke detector that's up to date.
Every room?
Every bedroom needs to have
Okay.
one.
Any other
Bathroom,
places in the house?
kitchen, and any like living room, dining room, those areas, but not bathroom.
Okay. So I would say somewhere in the if it's a 2-story in living room area or a hallway, that sort of thing, 2-story, a hallway, upstairs, bedrooms and that. Carbon monoxide detector is actually kind of interesting. You're probably right on both floors is the best way to do it. But here's what the law actually is for carbon monoxide detectors. You go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you pull out a brand of carbon monoxide detector, you read the label. What the manufacturer of that carbon monoxide detector says is needed is what the standard is. So they may be different for different companies for their carbon monoxide detectors. So it's really what the manufacturer says. That's the law right now, actually, which is kind of interesting. But generally it's one on each floor. And what I usually tell my clients to do is the simplest way to do it, if they don't have them already in the house, is just to get if they've got a 2-story, just get 2 plug-in ones and plug one in upstairs and one downstairs. And then that covers it. And if they're concerned about kids playing with it, they've got ones that have alarms on them. So if anybody messes with it and pulls it out of the wall, it just makes this horrible, horrible, loud, screeching alarm sound. And kids will only do it once because it's loud and obnoxious. So, seller shall pay the cost of compliance with minimum mandatory government inspection reports and then minimum mandatory government retrofit standards. So here's what I do. If I've got the buyer, I just click these 2 boxes here. Most of our normal subdivision homes, you're not gonna have these as issues. Some of the older homes, maybe it's a rural one, you may have some issues that pop up. So I always just check the seller to pay those. If you represent the seller and you get one of these, what should you check this way, what should you do? Anybody?
Counter it out.
Counter it out. Who said that? Naomi? Yeah, counter it out. Yeah, just counter it out because will there be something that'll pop up in there? Probably not. But about the time you think it won't happen, it does, and it could be a huge, big, expensive thing and could kill the deal. So I just counter that out as, section 7B2 is a buyer responsibility or is not a part of the contract or something like that to counter that out of there. So I always put it in for my buyers. But if you see this that comes in on your one, counter it out as if you represent the seller. Okay.
It always gets countered out though.
What?
When I put it in for my buyers, it always gets countered out.
Yeah. Smart agents will counter it back out. So expect it to get countered out. But if it doesn't, you should put a layer of protection in there for your buyers. Escrow and title, Naomi. How do you divide up escrow and title right now?
Right now, it's still the buyers paying for escrow and title.
So yeah, some counties are it's 50-50 on the escrow and buyer paying the title insurance is how a lot of counties are right now, or vice versa. There's actually how the breakdown is in the main hallway as you head to the bullpen. But our county is right now, it's buyer, escrow, and title. Seller is city transfer tax. Now you can have the buyer pay those, it sweetens the deal, but generally those are a seller cost. HOA, if there's an HOA, have the seller pay for those. And private transfer fee. If you have the seller and you're in an HOA, get working that right away, because it can take up to 10 days to get those HOA docs, and can slow you down a lot in there. Home warranty. So if you're not checking buyer or seller, one of those two boxes for a home warranty, and put a number in there, I go $550 for home warranty. You can do upgraded for air conditioning. Seller, if you're not checking one of these boxes here, buyer or seller, then this one down here should be checked. Either they're waiving wanting a home warranty, or you're saying, hey, buyer's paying for it or seller's paying for it. But either 10 here should be checked or down here should be checked. Don't leave it blank. Okay. Items included in the sale. You can check all stoves, but that's fairly normal. All refrigerators, all washers and dryers, you can check those, excuse me. If your clients look through, they go, I don't want the refrigerator, I don't want the washer and dryer, then don't check them. But if they like them, they think they'd be a good fit, don't want to have to hassle with that, then check those. The worst that can happen is people can counter out that they're going to keep their washers and dryers and refrigerators. Let's see, phone automated systems, all that. So things like computers, control units, internet stuff, all that's not staying. That's not included in the sale. You can check that. Otherwise, if you don't, then it can be left in there. Leased items, anything that you know the seller represents, that there may be some things in there. Items excluded from the sale, audio and video components, TVs, that not attached to the property, even the property, even if a bracket or other mechanism attached to the component. So it used to be, when this all started, and started hanging TVs on walls, that we had it that people, the sale would be done and the TV be gone that was attached to the wall. And people would say, hey, they took the TV, it was attached to the wall. In the early days of this, with TVs being put to the walls, that became an issue. But now it's the brackets are attached and the TV is just there. So you should address, hey, there's TVs and all that, or brackets in there. Do you want those removed or left in there, or removed and holes and other damage should be repaired but not painted? So that's one of the things to go over, is when you go in a house and you've got the buyer and they've got a TV attached to the wall, you want the bracket to be stay, or do you want the bracket to be removed? And then you can check that box if you want it removed. Otherwise, it's to stay. Is the buyer going to occupy the property, not occupy the property? Please check that. If they're buying as an investment property, they're not going to live on it, it's not going to be their primary residence, please check that box there. Okay. Don't leave it blank. And then close of escrow, normally it's at 6 p.m. I always change that to seller occupied or vacant property by 3 p.m. on the date of close of escrow. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, we're closing escrow at 3 o'clock. We want the keys. We want to be able to get access to the property. Seller in possession, if they're staying in possession of the property, you're doing some sort of rent back or something, then this is a section where you do that here, that they're remaining on the property at close of escrow. Be careful if your buyers are doing an FHA loan. It cannot be, the rent back cannot be for longer than 30 days, I believe is the date. And there have been cases where they've gone and checked after 30 days and found that the previous owners are still living in the property, And it's created some problems for the buyers because they're in violation of their loan agreement. So they're in essence default on that. So if it's an FHA or a VA, particularly, I think the max that you can have somebody rent back is 30 days is the max. Or so you're buying a property and the tenants can remain in possession. I just sold one for my mother-in-law that it had a house and a duplex on the property. The house is empty. The duplex was occupied by 2 different tenants. And so we checked there, tenant remain in possession. And there's a car form tip that was then, with some other things we had to do as well. And this just talks about some of the inspections and that they can get, other disclosures that they should be getting. And buyer's investigation of property matters affecting the property. They need to investigate those. Title investing, that you can invest it in certain ways, and that you need to consider that, consider the legal and tax consequences. So if people want to hold vesting in an LLC, they want to hold vesting in a trust, excuse me, that's all great. Make sure they talk to a legal and tax professionals. If people say, well, what do you think? Should you think that I should hold it in a trust? Your answer is, that is not a question for me. That's for your tax consultant. That's for your attorney. I don't pretend to be those tax consultants and attorneys. And so, so let them go talk to those professionals and don't answer those questions for them. Time periods and contingencies. So seller has 7 days right now to get all the reports, disclosures, and all that to you. Buyer has, it's defaulted at 17 days to do their inspections and all that, and then remove that contingency. Those are the default. You can change those numbers, or you can remove contingencies with the offer. I do not recommend that, although I just had a property in Discovery Bay where I represented the seller, and the offer came in, removed all contingencies with the offer. So they had no contingencies for inspections, for HOA, for loan, for anything. And so you can do that. I do not recommend doing that because if you do that, then at the very minimum, they back out, they lose their security deposit. If you get one where they removed all contingencies with the offer, so say it's a $700,000 house and they're doing a security deposit of $1,000, I would either, I would probably have the deposit increased to $10,000 at least, because if removing that, and then if they only got $1,000 in there and they back out and they, 15 days in, they say, we're not going to buy it, they lose $1,000. So if they're going to remove contingencies, then their earnest money deposit needs to be a serious number. Okay. No, this is just about in case somebody's not performing, the notice to perform can be done. Compensation, it talks about compensation, scope of duty, what agents are supposed to do. Again, this is all boilerplate stuff. This is, in case of breach of contract, what can happen. There's liquidated damages that people can lose their funds if they default, they don't follow through after they remove contingencies. We just had one on one of Judy Bittner's where they had $10,000 deposit. They were literally a week away from closing, and the buyer just changed his mind and put it in writing that he changed his mind. He was good to go on the loan, everything like that. And the seller was not going to release their deposit. We submitted a claim for mediation. And once that was submitted, then the buyer realized that he was going to actually have bigger problems than he thought he was going to have. And he agreed to a 50-50 split. So he lost about $5,000 by backing out. So it cost him. Mediation is, we've only had 1 or 2 that have gone to mediation. This was going to be one of them. Once the mediation official document paperwork got sent to all the parties, the buyer realized that he was buyer realized that he was going to stood to lose his whole deposit, and he agreed just to, before we did mediation, to a 50-50 split. If you do mediation and it doesn't, the parties can't resolve it, then it goes to arbitration. Arbitration is binding. Again, that's if everybody's initially in here, they're agreeing to those things there. And so if it goes to arbitration, it's binding arbitration. It's with an arbitrator. You can have attorneys, but it is binding. If it's 10,000 or below, you can also do small claims court as well. So that's without doing mediation arbitration. This is just definitions of what the terms in the contract mean and when your offer expires. So, hey, we're turning it in. If you've got one where you show your property and they've got a reviewing offer date of like 7 days later, put that date in for your offer. Or just say, hey, no, we want an answer now. We want to know if they'll give an answer right now. So otherwise put in, that date there of how long it expires. Normally it's 3 days. If you don't do anything, there's 3 days for the offer, I believe is what it is. And then the buyers sign and date it. Seller, that goes to the sellers. And then as agent, you sign it as well down here before you submit that in. This is the one page, just, hey, buyers, you're encouraged to inspect your, if you get into contract, you expect it. And then there's a 12-page inspection advisory that they also get. California Consumer Privacy Act that people have to let you know if they're selling your their information and personal information in there. So that was a quick run through of that, but I would encourage you, if you want, once you get, Oscar, you haven't got your license yet, but as soon as you do, you'll have access to that. I would encourage you, and I want to do this with you again, Najee, I want to give you a scenario, have you put a contract together for a purchase and make sure it's all good there. So, but that's kind of a quick rundown of the purchase agreement, the things that are there, and some of the common mistakes we see of people not checking boxes that should be checked. Any questions?
I'm ready to fill out a bunch of those early January.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so let me stop the recording. There we go.